Hey everyone, welcome back to my home. My name is Lynn. I'm glad you're joining me today. I have been on a mission to reorganize my stockpile, my pantry, my grocery store, my food supply, anything you want to name it. I have pretty much been eating out of it for the last 3 years, really downsizing tremendously. And I'm going to share with you my ups, my downs, my ins, my outs, and give you a quick little tour of how I've organized it. So I know everybody and their brother have videos on how to stockpile, what to do with the stockpile, and yada, yada, yada. It does become overwhelming and sometimes, quite frankly, very annoying. But I'll tell you, here's from personal experience. I have been through several times in my life where we've had no food in the house, whether it's when I was married or when I was single or when I was a child. I know what it is not to have food and to go hungry. And I don't want that anymore. So, does that mean I have to have exotic foods in my house and, the best organic, poshy food? No. I need food in my house to survive and to feed me and my family. That could be just plain old fashioned macaroni and cheese or peanut butter and jelly. Now, I'm not saying that is the only thing in my pantry, stockpile, and grocery store, but you have to have some basics. That's where you need to start. So I want to start and just start with that first and say, if you're new to stockpiling, if you haven't done it and you're a little rusty, if you're on a super tight budget, do not feel you need to have X amount of everything in your stockpile. Please note, a jar of peanut butter and a jar of jelly can last you a long time with a loaf of bread. Oatmeal is cheap. You can have oatmeal for breakfast, peanut butter and jelly for dinner, and you could do a canned something for dinner, rice and a can of peas. Listen, you do what you have to do to feed yourself and your family. After that, you can build that up to be something bigger and better or whatever you want it to be. What did I do to clean out and reorganize my stockpile? Well, let me tell you. I had to first go in and pull every single item out. We've been eating out of our stockpile for the past 3 to 4 years, maybe more the last 2 to 3 years. That's probably more accurate. And we have been eating down everything that I've had to use things up. Some things have expired. I know the big deal, the dilemma of, oh, is expired really mean expired? Well, some things no, some things yes. I'll give you an example. I opened a can of cherry pie filling that had only expired 6 months prior. Went to use it in a recipe. It looked funny, like the coloring didn't seem bright red cherry. And when I went to, it smelled fine, but when I went to taste it, it tasted like tin, if that even makes sense. So you decide when you open something that is expired, whether you want to use it. I'm not telling you yay or nay. I'm just telling you I have learned from past experience. I want to use it up by the Best Buy expiration date or very, very shortly thereafter. But we put all like items together, we reorganized, and I named 3 new areas for me. And I had specifically changed where I'm storing things in my kitchen and named them. Number 1 is my pantry. Number 2 is my stockpile. Number 3 is my grocery store. How does all this work? Well, let me tell you. So I've named the 3 areas, and this is what I've done. So my pantry is my go-to. That's where I get my flour, my sugar, my hot chocolate, my side items for my meals for the week, all the basics, all those types of things that I use probably every day is on the pantry shelf. So if I tell someone in my family, go on the pantry shelf, they're going to know where to go. Number 2 would be my stockpile. That would be something I'm doing for the next 2 weeks. That would be the overflow of spaghetti sauce, the overflow of pasta, the overflow of pancake mix, or maybe salad dressings and things like that. Things that I know that most likely I will use over in the next 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. Then you get to the point you've used up the pantry items, you've used up your stockpile items. What would you normally do? Oh no, I need a grocery list. I need to go to the grocery store. Well, what if you don't have time? You're sick. Your car broke down. I have had all those things in the past 6 weeks. You don't feel good. You just, the budget's tight. We've had this in the past 6 weeks. So what do you do then? I can't always run to the grocery store on a whim when I need items. So I now have a grocery store in my kitchen. That's what I'm calling it. Every household is different. You need to decide what's best for you. And we are now having what we are calling a grocery store for those things that aren't in the pantry. They're not in the stockpile, but they're in the grocery store that when I really have to pull from there, I will. And then when I do a big stock up, which I'll do every couple of months, I'll do a bigger stock up, then I will refill that area of my home, the grocery store. Now, by reorganizing and regrouping and putting like items together and repositioning where things are in my home and claiming back my kitchen. I needed to claim back my kitchen. I am the CEO of my kitchen. I am the CEO woman of my household. I am the only full-time working adult in my home. If you don't know me, my name is Lynn. I work outside the home full-time. We are in a super budget-friendly household. We don't have a lot of extra funds. My husband has epilepsy. My youngest son has autism with a few other diagnoses. So they are not capable of going outside the home to work. They do help me inside the home and do the best they can, but I'm the one that goes out and I don't make a lot of money. So what I do have in terms of food, I need to use up. I need to use it well. I need to make sure that I have plenty to go around. And by reorganizing my kitchen and claiming back my kitchen with having a pantry, stockpile, and grocery store, I have found over in just 1 week, what a sense of relief. I know what I have. I know where to find it. My first place is I go to the pantry. Don't have it in the pantry, go to the stockpile. Oh no, ran out of something, hit my grocery store in my own home, and then decide when will I have enough money and time to be able to go and stock up and refill my grocery store, which would refill my stockpile, which would refill my pantry, and so on. We don't always have the money to fill the grocery store. Sometimes I'm living out of the pantry and stockpile because that's all the money I have. But when I do have extra provisions, I will be refilling my grocery store as I can. We're a family of 3. We don't do a lot of entertaining anymore. Just the season of life we're in. Our family has shrunk down in size from people moving away and, just life circumstances. So I only really need to feed the 3 of us, but we still need to eat. And we are trying to eat more and more and more, 3 meals a day plus snacks or whatever you want to call it, 7 days a week in the home, which we've cut back over the last few years, eating out more for convenience and sanity. We are trying to have more convenience and sanity in the home. So let me bring you over. I'm going to show you my pantry. I'm going to show you my stockpile. I'm going to show you my grocery store. I will tell you, my pantry is full, my stockpile is somewhat full, and my grocery store is somewhat empty. So I'm going to need to stock up, but for the month of April and probably May, I will not have the funds to do that unless God provides. And right now, I don't foresee that, and that's okay. You just use what you have, you make do with what you have, and you be creative. So let me bring you over and let you see what I've done in my stockpile and in my kitchen. So I'm going to show you my pantry first, and the noise you're hearing in the background most likely is my ice machine. So I'm sorry for that interference. So on the very top, this is a very tall green shelf. It's probably about 7 feet high. And on the very top, I have a basket of snacks. The next bin, as you can see, it's practically empty, is our rice bin. And the last one is our to-go snacks, like we want to grab and go, some crackers and things like that. And these 2 bins that I do have here, as you can see, they are from pretzels that we had gotten at work, and they were going to throw out those containers, so I knew they were food safe. So I said, no way, Jose, they're coming home with me. This shelf here are more go-to items that I can use for side dishes. Scalloped potatoes, couscous. This is spaghetti cut for making homemade rice-a-roni. Northern beans, some more northern beans. I want to can these actually. Some extra rice that was measured out because I have a rice cooker, so I pre-measure it so I just know this is one batch of rice. Some store-bought rice-a-roni, some yellow rice, some canned beans. These are things that I can pull outside of fresh to make for a side dish. Then we have hot chocolate homemade over here. We have some boxed cereals. We don't eat a lot of them, but we do have them. Here are some of my pastas. This is not all of them. This one is empty. This one is orzo I need to get. This is pastina. And these are 2 types of egg noodles. We have grits. We eat these all the time. Oatmeal and some granola. These really are breakfast items that belong up here, but obviously I don't have the room. Now I've just taken everything off these shelves and I've wiped them down. This shelf is old, so it looks dingy, but it's clean. Down here I have some flours and sugars and dried milks, and that continues down here as well with instant oatmeal. My husband likes that. And then at the very bottom we have coffee sugar, special sugar that we like in our coffee, and some extra different flours, like I have einkorn flour, and I have the extra wide Amish noodles for chicken pot pie. So this is what I would go to every day for breakfast, you know, side dishes and things like that. This is my pantry. So now we're in the front of my, what I would call stockpile, and it's a very deep cabinet, so I'm sorry it's very dark. You'll see some empty jars. They are jars for ziti, elbow, bow tie pasta, which obviously I need to stock up on, but this is now great that I can see it. I have extra maple syrup, so I have one here. I have nothing in my grocery store, which means I now need to go stock up on that. I have some canned items here, some soup and odds and ends. I've got 2 cans of tuna back there, or 1 bag and 1 can, and so I did just go to Family Dollar and purchase some tuna there that was on sale. I have a haul coming for you from there, so that'll be replaced in there. I have the cheese sauce that my son likes to do macaroni and cheese with. We've got some pasta sauce. I have some cheese biscuit mix, and behind that are some like rice packets. Let me show you here. Rice packets and Alfredo noodle mixes and things like that we can use as side dishes. In the very back I have some teas and things like that to stock up on, and then we have our extra condiments like mayonnaise and things like that. I don't keep extra ketchup and mustard anymore. We don't go through it quick enough. It's a waste of footprint space in my pantry and stockpile. When I need it, I just go and grab another one at the Dollar Tree. It's just not worth it. But mayonnaise we use, the chicken dipping sauce, the barbecue sauce. I have the jarred garlic, and the ranch dressing is a staple in our home. I've got my go-to pancake mix here. I have a couple of other canned items. These are more things that I want to use up. Fire roasted tomatoes. I've got some stewed tomatoes and some coconut cream. And then I have my fallback flour and sugar here. I don't like putting them in the grocery store. I'd rather keep them handy because I'm constantly refilling the pantry with extra flour and sugar. So this is my extra here. So if this fills up the jars in my pantry, then these are the ones that I know I need to go then do some shopping and go get more items. Now that brings us to my grocery store. Now this, I told you, is looking sparse. So in here is where the extra tomato sauce would go. Obviously, I don't have a whole lot in there. Behind that would be some oddball items that I might pick up on sale. I have 1 package of a freeze-dried dinner in there. In the very back, I have pre-made dinners and all my canned ham and canned corned beef and whatnot in the very back there. And then in the middle here, I do like to get some chicken and beef broth. I like to keep some of that on hand. I also have some liquid aminos in there. I have 2 extra things of oil. And at the very top, I have my corn, which is good. Then I have my peas, which I only have 3 cans. I like to have 8. I have 1 can of green beans. I like to have 8. And then over here, I have enchilada sauce, and I have 3 bean canned beans for like chili and whatnot. Over here I have some coconut cream and coconut milk we use for different recipes. Over here I do make homemade biscuits and gravy, but once in a while with working and being a full-time working woman, I don't always have time for homemade, so I keep cans of that on hand for a quick breakfast. Also cans of corned beef hash, we appreciate that. Peanut butter, I talked about peanut butter. I have 2 things of peanut butter here. I have 1 jar open that's almost done, and I have a spare right next to it in a top cabinet over by my stove. So we do keep extra peanut butter, and we keep extra jelly on hand as well. I've got a couple of fruit juices, a couple of cans of chips to go with our sandwiches. This is just extra supplies of tinfoil and whatnot. And that's basically it. So you can see I desperately need to do a stock up on my grocery store. But like I mentioned, we are a budget friendly household. There's not a lot of money right now. Will I starve? Absolutely not. We have food in our refrigerator, in our freezer, in our pantry, in our stockpile, as well as here. I can make quite a bit. We'll be buying fresh produce and things, the basics that we need. But right now, filling up the extra, like the stockpile and the grocery store, those items will have to wait until we have more money on hand that I don't have to invest in other areas of our household. But in the meantime, I'll just be shopping for the basics. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope it gave you a perspective. Not everybody has a full stockpile, pantry, and grocery store in their home. Not everybody can afford to do that. So just to encourage you that it's okay just to have a few canned items, a few things of oil, and a few other things. You can make it work, and you don't need to have a ton of money all the time invested in your stockpile.